The screech of tires ripped through the rain-slicked Seattle streets like a promise breaking in slow motion. Elias Crow slammed against the dashboard, the world exploding into shards of glass and blinding pain. His last clear vision, the taillights of a swerving truck that had no business being there. When the darkness settled, not the temporary black of unconsciousness, but an absolute void that swallowed everything. He knew the accident had stolen more than his sight. It had unearthed the fracture lines in the life he thought was unbreakable. Tyler Harlan's voice cut through the haze first, a whisper laced with something sharper than worry. Elias, oh God, stay with me. I can't lose you too. But even as the paramedics swarmed, their hands efficient and impersonal, Elias felt the lie in those words, a tremor that hinted at the unraveling to come. In the sterile hum of Harborview Medical Center, Elias awoke to a world remade in echoes and textures, the beep of monitors like distant thunder, the crisp sheets chafing against his skin, the faint scent of antiseptic mingling with the cologne Tyler always wore, that earthy pine note now twisted into something accusatory. His eyes were swathed in bandages, thick and unyielding, but the doctors had been blunt during the surgery prep. Bilateral retinal detachment, complicated by internal bleeding from the crash. You'll need time, they'd said, their voices muffled through masks. Rehab therapy. But full recovery. It's uncertain. Elias had nodded then, clinging to Tyler's hand, the one solid anchor in the storm. Now 3 days post-op, that anchor felt like it was fraying. Tyler sat beside the bed, his chair creaking under the weight of unspoken burdens. Elias could hear the tap of his boyfriend's foot against the linoleum, a restless rhythm that had started yesterday and hadn't let up. How are you feeling? Tyler asked, his voice pitching higher than usual, like he was reciting lines from a script he didn't believe. Like I got hit by a freight train, Elias replied, forcing a wry smile that pulled at the stitches on his cheek. He reached out, fingers groping until they found Tyler's knee, solid and warm through denim. But I'm here. We're here. Tyler shifted, the movement sending a ripple through the mattress. Yeah, about that. A pause stretched, heavy as the Puget Sound fog rolling in outside the window Elias couldn't see. I got a call from Wyatt last night. Wyatt Kane. The name landed like a stone in still water. Elias's first love had been a high school fling in the damp halls of Roosevelt High, tousled blonde hair, easy grins, the kind of boy who made Seattle's endless gray feel like summer. But Wyatt had shattered it all senior year, ghosting Elias for a scholarship across the country, leaving behind a trail of mixtapes and unanswered texts. Tyler knew the story. He'd been the one to pick up the pieces 5 years ago, over late-night coffees at Elliott Bay Book Company, when Elias had finally sworn off brooding over what-ifs. What did he want? Elias asked, his voice steady despite the knot forming in his gut. He's back in town. Briefly. Said he saw the crash on the news, your name, the wreck on I-5. He's concerned. Tyler's hand covered Elias's, but it felt tentative, like a bird perched on the edge of flight. Elias squeezed, willing the touch to ground them both. Tell him thanks. But I'm okay. We've got this. Another pause, longer this time. The foot tapping stopped. Elias, he asked me to meet him. For old time's sake. And I said yes. The words hung there, innocuous on the surface, but Elias felt the undercurrent, the pull of history neither of them had fully escaped. Tyler had his own ghosts. Wyatt had been his first two. Back in their freshman dorms at UW, before life scattered them like leaves in a gale. They'd reconnected through Elias, a messy triangle no one had bothered to untangle until now. Old-time sake, Elias echoed, tasting the bitterness. In the middle of all this? I know. It's shitty timing. But it's just coffee. Closure. Tyler's thumb traced circles on Elias's knuckles, a habit meant to soothe but now feeling like a stall. Elias wanted to argue, to demand priorities, but exhaustion pinned him down. The pain meds dulled the edges, turning resolve into fog. Fine. Go. But come back soon. Tyler leaned in, pressing a kiss to Elias's forehead, lingering just a beat too long. I love you. This doesn't change that. As the door clicked shut behind him, Elias lay there, listening to the hospital's nocturnal symphony, the coughs from adjacent rooms, the wheeze of a cart down the hall. Love. The word echoed hollowly, a promise tested by the void. By morning, the bandages came off for the first check, but the lights they flicked across his eyes revealed nothing but inky black. Prognosis is guarded, Dr. Ramirez said, her voice clinical yet kind. We'll start mobility training tomorrow. You're young, resilient. Hang in there. Resilient. Elias clung to that as Tyler burst back in, breathless, reeking faintly of rain and regret. It was nothing, he said before Elias could ask. Just talk. He's leaving for Paris next week. Some artist residency. Said to tell you he's sorry. Paris. The city of lights, now a punchline in Elias's darkened world. Good for him, Elias muttered, turning his face toward the window's general direction. What's next? Postcards from the Eiffel Tower. Tyler laughed too sharp. Come on. Don't be like that. But Elias was like that, the resentment bubbling up unbidden. The accident had been a drunk driver. Some asshole in a pickup who'd walked away with scratches while Elias paid the price. And now, in the wreckage, Tyler was drifting toward the horizon. That afternoon, Mason Harlan arrived unannounced, Tyler's older brother by 3 years. The Harlan family rock who'd moved back to Seattle from Austin after their parents' divorce scattered everyone. Mason's boots thudded against the floor, deliberate and steady, and his voice carried the low drawl of Texas still clinging to his vowels. Elias. Heard about the mess. Brought you some real coffee, not that hospital swill. The aroma hit first, rich and grounding, cutting through the bleach. Elias sat up straighter, guided by a nurse's hands. Mason. You didn't have to. Course I did. Family looks out for family. There was a rustle. Then the cup pressed into his palm, warm and reassuring. Mason's fingers brushed his, callous from construction work, steady where Tyler's had started to tremble. They talked then, easy at first. Mason's latest flip house in Capitol Hill, the Mariners' slim playoff hopes, the way Seattle's drizzle felt like home after Texas heat. But beneath it, Elias sensed the underlayer. Mason checking in because Tyler had called, frantic, dumping the burden before bolting for another closure meet-up with Wyatt. He's spiraling, Mason admitted over the phone that night, his voice a rumble through the receiver Elias clutched in the dim room. Tyler had stepped out again, claiming a work call. Wyatt's stirring shit up. Always has. Elias's throat tightened. And you? What do you think? A beat of silence, then Mason's sigh, heavy as lead. I think my brother's an idiot. But you're tougher than this. We'll get through it. We. The word slipped in like sunlight through clouds, tentative but real. Elias hung up, the phone warm against his cheek, and for the first time since the crash, the darkness felt a fraction less absolute. Days blurred into a rhythm of rehab sessions, white canes tapping against therapy room floors, the frustration of misjudged steps sending him sprawling, the quiet victories of navigating a door alone. Tyler was there sporadically, his presence a whirlwind of apologies and distractions. Wyatt's flight's tomorrow, he'd say, casual as weather, while Elias gripped the cane like a lifeline. He asked about you. Said he wishes things were different. Different. The word haunted Elias through sleepless nights, his mind replaying the accident in fragments. The blare of horns, Tyler's shout from the passenger seat, the sickening crunch. They'd been arguing that night. Stupid stuff about moving in together, about Tyler's reluctance to come out fully to his conservative extended family. The fight had simmered unresolved when the truck veered into their lane. One evening, as Elias practiced folding clothes by feel in his hospital gown, Tyler dropped the bomb. The room smelled of takeout Thai Pad CW from their favorite spot on Broadway. A peace offering. I'm going with him, Tyler said, fork pausing midair. To Paris. Just for a month. To clear my head. Elias froze, the fabric slipping from his fingers. You're leaving. Now. It's not like that. Mason's here. He'll help with your discharge, the apartment stuff. I need this, Elias. We're fraying. Fraying. The word from their pre-crash fight, thrown like a gauntlet. Elias's chest ached, a fresh wound atop the old. So I'm the frayed one? The blind guy you can't face. Tyler's chair scraped back. Don't make this ugly. I love you, but Wyatt, he gets me in a way. God, this is messed up. Then unmess it. Stay. I can't. The admission hung. Then Tyler's arms wrapped around him, desperate and final. Forgive me. Please. Elias didn't. Not then. The kiss that followed tasted of salt, tears, maybe his, maybe Tyler's. And when the door clicked shut hours later, Elias was alone in the dark, the Thai food congealing on the tray. Mason arrived at dawn, his truck rumbling into the lot like a cavalry charge. Tyler's on a red eye, he said, helping Elias into the passenger seat, the world a blur of sounds and scents. Leather seats, faint diesel, Mason's soap, clean like pine and earth. Idiot thinks a month in France fixes everything. But I'm here. For the long haul. The drive to Elias's apartment in Fremont was a gauntlet of braille bumps and curb echoes, Mason's voice a steady narration. Troll up ahead, that concrete beast under the bridge. Your exit's coming up. Fremont, with its quirky statues and indie shops, had always felt like a haven, but now it loomed alien. Every corner a potential trap. Inside, the space was a minefield, couch angled wrong, coffee table a shinbreaker. Mason moved with quiet efficiency, securing rugs, labeling drawers in raised print. We'll adapt, he said, his hand on Elias's shoulder, firm and unyielding. You're not alone in this. That night, as rain pattered against the windows like impatient fingers, Elias lay on the couch, Mason crashed on the air mattress in the living room. The silence stretched, broken only by the older man's even breathing. Why are you doing this? Elias asked into the void. Tyler's your blood. Because your family too, Mason replied, voice rough with sleep. And because he doesn't deserve you. Not like this. The words settled like bombs, stirring something unnamed. A spark in the endless night. Elias turned toward the sound. The darkness no longer just loss but possibility. Weeks turned the apartment into a fortress of adaptation. Voice-activated lights that hummed to life at his command. Grocery runs where Mason described aisles like tour guides. Aisle 7, tomatoes on the left, red as a sunset. Elias threw himself into it, the blindness a puzzle to solve rather than a prison. His job at the tech startup went remote, coding by screen readers, his fingers flying over keyboards that translated lines into speech. But the nights were harder. The bed too empty, Tyler's sporadic texts from Paris, a drip of salt in the wound. Missing you. Wine here's amazing. Photos followed, grainy through the app's descriptions. Tyler and Wyatt at cafes, arms slung casual, the Eiffel Tower a smug backdrop. Mason filled the gaps without fanfare. Dinners became ritual. Grilling salmon on the balcony, Mason's stories of Texas ranches weaving nostalgia into Seattle's chill. Dad used to say a man's worth is in his hands, he'd say, passing Elias a beer, their fingers brushing in the exchange. Mason was built like the Harlan men, broad-shouldered, with a jaw that could cut glass and eyes Elias remembered as storm gray, now imagined in flashes of memory. One stormy evening, as thunder rolled in from the sound, the power flickered out. Elias fumbled in the pitch, heart racing until Mason's voice cut through. Easy. I'm right here. A hand found his, guiding him to the couch amid the chaos of takeout containers. They sat close, the air thick with ozone and unspoken tension. Mason's arm draping the backrest, fingers grazing Elias's neck. Tell me about Paris, Elias said, not wanting to but needing the knife's twist to heal. Mason hesitated then. Tyler's posting like it's vacation. But I hear it in his calls. Guilt eating him alive. Wyatt's the same ghost he chased at 18. Charming but hollow. Elias leaned into the touch, the warmth seeping through. And you? Ever chase ghosts? A low chuckle. Once or twice. Learned they don't run straight. Mason's fingers traced his collarbone, light as breath. But you're real. Solid. The kiss came unbidden, born of storm and solitude. Elias turning, lips meeting Mason's in the dark, tentative then fierce. Mason pulled back first, breath ragged. We can't. Not like this. Why? Elias's voice cracked, raw need surfacing. Because of him? Because you're healing. And I'm not the rebound. But the seed was planted, roots twisting through the soil of betrayal. As the lights hummed back on, unseen but felt, Elias knew the real reconstruction had just begun. Fall deepened in Seattle, Leaves turning the streets to crimson carpets, Elias navigated with growing confidence, his cane a white flag of independence. Mason's presence wove into the fabric of days. Morning runs where he'd describe the waterfront's salt spray, evenings with vinyl records spinning, Springsteen crooning about highways and heartaches, Mason's baritone harmonizing low. Tyler's messages tapered, replaced by voicemails laced with static and strain. Paris is magic, but it's not home. Be back soon. Love you. Love. The word soured, but Elias let it lie, focusing instead on the man who stayed. Mason opened up in fragments, his failed engagement to a woman in Austin, the closet he'd cracked open only after their father's heart attack forced truths into the light. I watched Tyler chase Wyatt across 3 states, he'd say, nursing a whiskey neat. Swore I'd never let fear call the shots. Elias shared 2 vulnerabilities spilling like rain. The foster kid edges from his teens, shuffled between homes after his mom's overdose, the way Tyler had felt like roots in unstable ground. He made me believe in forever, Elias confessed one night, curled on the couch, Mason's hand in his hair. Now it's just echoes. You're not echoes, Mason murmured, pulling him closer. The line blurred again, kisses deepening into explorations, hands mapping bodies in the dark, learning curves and scars without sight to judge. It was tender, urgent, a rebellion against the abandonment. Mason's touch was deliberate, reverent, coaxing gasps from Elias that echoed off the walls. But guilt shadowed the afterglow. This wrecks everything, Elias whispered post-climax, sweat slick and spent, Mason's chest a pillow beneath him. Or remakes it, Mason countered, fingers tracing Elias's spine. Tyler's path led here. Maybe that's the point. The idol cracked on a crisp November morning, Tyler's key turning in the lock unannounced. Elias was in the kitchen, measuring coffee grounds by ridges on the scoop, Mason at his back, hands on hips, murmuring adjustments. The door swung open to frozen silence, then Tyler's voice shattered glass. What the hell is this? Elias turned toward the sound, heart plummeting. Tyler. You're early. Evidently. Footsteps, then the thud of a suitcase. Mason? My brother. Mason stepped forward, voice even. Hey kid. Good flight. Don't hey kid me. You're screwing my boyfriend. In our apartment. It's my apartment, Elias snapped, cane clattering to the floor. You left. Remember. I left for a month. To think. Tyler's breath hitched, close now, wine and jet lag on it. Not to come back to this betrayal. The irony burned, but Elias held steady. Betrayal? You jetted off with Wyatt. Left me blind and broken. Mason stayed. He chose me. Tyler's laugh was bitter, edged with hurt. Chose you? Or pitted the cripple? The word landed like the truck's impact, visceral and cruel. Mason growled low. Watch it. But Elias waved him off, stepping into the fray blind but unbowed. Say it, Elias demanded. Say what you've been texting from cafes. How Wyatt's everything I wasn't. Spontaneous. Unscarred. A choke. Then Tyler's collapse onto the stool, defeated. I don't know who I am anymore. Paris was supposed to fix it, but it just amplified everything. Wyatt's the boy I lost, but you're the man I built a life with. And now it's over, Elias finished, the truth liberating. Go back to him. Find your first love. I'll find mine. Tyler lingered, tears soaking into Elias's shirt during the goodbye hug, apologies tumbling like loose change. But when the door shut final, the apartment exhaled, tension uncoiling. Mason gathered Elias close then, in the quiet aftermath. You okay? Seeing clearer than ever, Elias replied, a smile breaking through. They moved to the balcony, rain misting their faces, Seattle's lights a constellation Elias felt more than saw. In that space love rekindled, not as replacement but revelation. Mason's hand in his, steady as the Olympics on the horizon. Winter crept in soft, snow dusting the sound like powdered sugar on forgotten dough. Elias's rehab progressed. Assistive tech classes at the Lighthouse for the Blind, where voices became lifelines, and Braille bloomed under fingertips like secret codes. Work ramped up. His code for an accessibility app went viral in tech circles, ironic validation from a sightless innovator. But the real growth was internal, scars fading into stories. Mason proposed a road trip come spring, down the coast to Big Sur, a Harlan tradition repurposed. No eyes needed. He teased over breakfast pancakes, syrup sticky on plates. Just us, the highway, and Springsteen. Elias agreed, heart light. Tyler's last email had come weeks prior. A halting admission from a Rome hostel. Wyatt and I imploded. Deserved it. You're better without me. Be happy. No reply required. Closure was Elias's alone. Yet shadows lingered. One February night, as they tangled in sheets worn soft by winter nights, Elias's hand paused on Mason's chest, feeling the stutter of his heart. What if he comes back? Fights for me. Mason shifted, breath warm against his temple. Then you choose. But know this. I'm not going anywhere. Not unless you say. The vulnerability cracked something open, tears pricking Elias's unseeing eyes. I choose you. Every fractured, beautiful inch. Their lovemaking that night was slow, worshipful. Bodies a language of touch, reaffirming what words often fumbled. Afterward, wrapped in arms like home, Elias dreamed not of crashes but constellations, points of light in endless black. Spring unfurled in greens Elias scented. Hyacinths pushing through Fremont soil, the tang of fairy exhaust on wind. The road trip materialized. Highway 101 unspooling south. Mason's truck a cocoon of laughter and lore. He narrated the vistas. Cliffs dropping to turquoise waves, seals barking like drunks on the rocks. While Elias drove stretches with audio cues, hands sure on the wheel, trust a bridge over fear. In Big Sur they hiked Pfeiffer Beach, Mason's arm a tether through purple sands and crashing surf. At a clifftop overlook, wind whipping hair, Mason knelt. Gravel crunching, a box creaking open. Elias Crow, you've turned my world upside down. Literally. Marry me? Let's build something unbreakable. Elias's laugh bubbled free, joy unfiltered. Yes. God, yes. The ring slid on, cool metal warming to skin engraved in braille. See me. They made love under stars that night, tent fabric whispering, the ocean a lullaby to new beginnings. Back in Seattle, summer hummed with plans. A small ceremony at Gasworks Park, vows exchanged amid rusting relics and kite strings. Tyler sent a card, postmarked New York. Heard the news. Proud of you both. Finally free. Forgiveness wasn't instant, but it bloomed, a quiet grace. Elias's vision never returned, but sight evolved. Into empathy's lens, love's clarity. In Mason's arms he found not just survival but sovereignty. The freedom to claim a self unapologetic, identity forged in fire and fidelity. They walked Fremont's bridges hand in hand, canes tapping tandem, a testament to compassion's quiet power. In America's vast tapestry their thread wove human, resilient, whole.